interesting to me as well. So it's not only internal meetings that are taking place where people are taking advantage of the facilities, but also they're very happy to bring in clients. And the feedback we get from clients is wholly positive on this. A couple of points on the success factors that I mentioned earlier, and I'm going to run through these quite quickly. I want to leave some time for the questions. I mentioned this before. We needed to have this vision grounded in business value. There is no point just creating a fancy facility that a few people use because they think it's great and new and fantastic. We wanted to have a solid business reason for people to use this. And the business need was given because there was a recognition that we need to connect our people internally. We need to connect better with clients and give them the opportunity to share their knowledge and what they want to share about their business in a space that is a little less formal than a standard meeting room. And we identified a couple of fairly generic meeting types that make sense to have in there, which were around account planning, pursuit kickoff, solution development, where it's all about brainstorming and being creative, which works really well with the smart boards, and a couple of other meetings that I don't want to go into too much detail on here. The second point on there, and I think my colleagues mentioned this as well, it's a vital part, is to get the right people involved. We needed to obviously get people from business development and knowledge to drive this project. And because we had that connection with the business and what the business wants and needs. Another important part there is to get the top-down sponsorship. You need the top-down sponsorship actually to push the project, to get it off the ground and to get it to completion, because in a large organization things can go very slowly, so you need that top-down sponsorship and obviously the cash as well to get things off the ground. The third point there, you need to involve all the right people to actually operationalize the facility. So in this case, it was IT, which always plays a part, facilities management, the comms team, etc. I'm going to move on very quickly after that gentle nudge. And Smart played a big part, obviously providing the technology, and still does. This part here, developing the brand, suffice to say that that's where the brand The Cube comes from, because we needed to find a way to promote this internally, to create awareness, so people actually want to come and find out, oh, what is this about? What can we do in here? How can we use this? Which worked really well. We had a video, as you saw, a couple of open days, and advocates and Cube champions. Moving on swiftly here, we trained the people. We continuously do this to make sure that people know how to use the technology, how to continuously innovate to make the room relevant to a continuously changing business environment. And we also developed set plays. There's no use just putting technology in a room. Some people take quite quickly to it. Other people need a bit more of a reason of how do I actually use this? How do I get the most of it? So we provided people at every step with a reason of how to use this facility best. Evidencing success, which is the last slide I'm going to use on here, is really at every step we showed to the business, this is how people benefit from it, this is what people get out of it, and this is how it can contribute in the future to create better client connections and to have that sort of ongoing client relationship building that is so important in our business. One important point that I want to make at the end here is that even though there's a lot of investment that has gone into this, actually when you look at what you can get out of it, we proved with obtaining feedback from clients, from users, that really the cost has been paid back many times since the inception of the Cube, because the new business that has been generated in the Cube far outstrips the investment initially that we took. A few challenges, as you can see here on the screen, and I'm going to leave it now to Jeremy to move on. So thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I'm so sorry to cut you off in your prime. I mean, I think the Cube is an absolutely fascinating concept, but I'm keen to bring in our audience. So you've heard from, this has been a new experience for me actually, because I've never yet met a corporate accountant about to lose his trousers. But be that as it may, 3 fascinating case studies from the professional services area. Questions and thoughts for our panel? Gentleman over here in the corner.
Hi, thanks. Paul Savage from Islington Council. I'm just interested in the tension between your stakeholders, between the facilities management people who want standardisation for office space and the actual occupants who are going to want customisation. And they think they're going to be there forever, but the FM people know they're going to be churned around over the next 2 or 3 years.
Interesting question. Excuse me, throat's going. There was a challenge. There was a challenge in the discussion. In fact, it was generally with regard to people wanting proprietary rights over their desks and sticking with their desks. That was where one of the sort of the major challenges in discussions was. From a KPMG perspective, we picked, because of the time point that I mentioned, we picked this up very early, and we talked to people, the right people, to start a level of communication and messaging going. The facilities team are a team that my team sister against, if you like. So we work together. They had the ability, the innovation, the aspirations themselves to want to move a new building to a different level. So from that perspective, we already had them on side that we were moving sustainability and environmentally, and the challenge was crossed. They actually themselves wanted to push the parameters, so they wanted better M&E systems, they wanted better lighting, so they wanted better security. Security aspects was a key issue for us. And this is where the challenge came in, and no one likes it. No one likes to be told no, and especially with a new building when everyone's rubbing their hands. That's when the conflict comes in. I'd like to think it's collaboration, and that's where there needs to be a firmness by either the leader or the property group involved to actually say, look, you can't have this, but you can have this, because there's a price tag attached to everything. So how did we deal with it? We dealt with it in a number of different ways. One of the examples was with Swankies, we had a number of key areas that we focused on, and we had design committees. So we got a group of the business together, we got the workplace stakeholders together, we got the external designers together, and we sat in a room with staff restaurant, with the client areas, with the meeting room areas, and we got in a room for 3 hours, 4 hours, and we were presented with what was and we debated it, and we discussed it, and we challenged it, and then actions flowed from that. And it may have taken 2, 3, 4 weeks for each item. Angela will probably say it took months, but we actually, with the collaboration piece, we actually convinced people that these were the right answers. And people, the building that's 400,000 square feet, you're not going to please all the people all the time, and there was a definite problem. But
so did you get a standardised workspace in the end?
We got an agreed workstation area for a member of staff, and we got an agreed workspace area for a partner. They've got slightly different sized desks, so yes, that was agreed, and it was agreed through the process I've just described.
Okay, thank you. Question down here, Ziona, in the scarf. Just here, just right by you.
Thanks very much. Another question to Alastair. Very useful for once to see someone put up all the numbers of different seating opportunities in the building. However, you didn't put up the number of workstations, and I wonder if that's was inadvertent, or if you'd share that with us, and the sharing ratio that you applied at move-in.
Yeah, we've got 2,700 workstations. So we're getting a desk sharing ratio exactly the same as Paul's. So I think there must be something in that. I think Paul will probably say, touched on it, that we at 1 to 1.4. But people use the spaces in different ways. So some of our areas will be as high as 1 to 3, 1 to 4. whereas some people do need to be desk bound, so they say. I think we can challenge that, and I think these open areas that I was referring to, they do definitely challenge, because when you walk around the building with what, through our Sumerian data, so our access control data is in the order of sort of 60%, 70%, we're actually pushing the boundaries on that. There's more people in the building, but if you walk around the building, there's still spare desks. Some are allocated, some are hot desks, but that's because everybody's collaborating, not everybody, a significant sum of people, amount of people are collaborating in our different breakout areas.
Paul, do you want to come in on that?
Well, we've been sharing space, as I said, for quite some time. And over the last 3 years, right across London, we've initiated Everybody Books In. And that works well for us.
Okay, time for one more question. Gentleman there. 3 seats in, that's it.
Thanks. Hello, David Leon. I'm looking at these sort of really nice breakout areas and open areas and the plans of the sort of workstations. I mean, I would have it's a no-brainer that people would want to go and work and, you know, in these sort of breakout areas rather than these chicken pens. And I just wonder whether, you know, there isn't a maybe in office design and workplace design, we should be taking a leaf out of this, out of particularly what Microsoft is doing, and so saying, look, why don't we make it all breakout areas? You know, why do we actually need all these sort of chicken coops? Because clearly they're unpopular.
Okay. Anyone want to pick that up?
Yeah, I'm happy to pick that up. I think in time we'll get there. As I suggested, we'll work 7,000 or 8,000 people out of that building. I don't think they're ready for that at the moment. We have to move. Unfortunately, slowly. We still have tax people, and anybody who works with tax people, they actually like to get books out and get their heads down on the desk. So we have to provide workstations to suit all choices. But we will get there eventually, I think. That a lot of people come back to the building just to interact, and I think we've grown these areas around the building where they can come and meet, where they can come and teamwork, and that's very important.